I'm going to show you how to fix this Yamaha receiver with model number RX-V673. The issue we're experiencing is we have power but no audio output. Another thing we can notice visually is we don't see our speakers showing up below the volume. We're supposed to see at least the speaker outputs. As I'm navigating through the different output options, oh, it just worked for a half second and the speakers did show up. Now it does seem that as the unit is warming up, it is working a little bit better, but it's still extremely intermittent. So let's open it up and find out what's going on. I've just removed the cover of the receiver to expose the HDMI board, and I've armed myself with a hot air gun and freeze spray. What we're gonna do is heat up and freeze the HDMI board until we can consistently get the board to work and or malfunction. Currently, we do not have any speakers showing up on the front. So with my hot air, I'm gonna heat up some of the chips. And it actually showed up right now, and I can get audio. Should be able to get audio. There we are.
I didn't realize it was a shared bathroom.
Now let's freeze the chip I just heated up. Stop working. Let's heat it up.
Tight or strip, CeraVe foaming cleanser removes excess oil.
It's working.
And
let's go ahead and freeze again.
CeraVe prevents disruption of microbial.
Stopped working.
Right, your best friend can hear coming.
And it's working.
From miles away.
Now the chip I was heating and cooling is our Texas Instruments DTS chip right here. We're gonna go ahead and remove the board and bring it to our workbench so we can go ahead and replace it. Now if you're not sure how to remove this HDMI board, I do have a removal tutorial video that's linked in the video description below, as well as we'll have it linked at the end of this video. As I just mentioned, we're gonna want to replace this Texas Instruments DSP chip in order to fix this HDMI board audio issue. Now the thing with these chips is they have a lot of pins around it, so we're gonna have to use our bottom heater and top hot air at the same time in order to remove it safely. We're gonna set it to about 300 Fahrenheit. Because I am gonna be using flux, it's gonna be important that we use our fume extractor. And when working with these chips, I do like to add a little bit of solder to some of the pins. The reason I do this is to give myself a visual indicator of when the solder on the pins is molten. It will go from a dull look to a very shiny look when it is melted in a liquid state. All right, I'm just feeling, and our chip is getting fairly hot. I think it's time for us to put our flux. And for this one, because my chip is fairly big, I'm gonna be removing my nozzle. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with a little bit of hot air. As you can see, some of the solder is melting here, but not on all sides. So we're not quite at the temperatures we need yet. Okay, and I think we're getting there. It looks like the solder is molten. Yep, okay. Can I pick up the chip? There we go. And what I like to do is somewhat quickly, while the board is still very hot, remove some of that extra solder we added. Of course, we're gonna wanna remove all the original solder. If you're interested in buying the same flux, solder, desolder wick that we are using in today's video, I'll have links in the description down below where you can go ahead and purchase those. All right, we'll go ahead and give it a quick clean with isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. Just want to remove some of that extra flux. Now I did just do a quick visual inspection, and I'm seeing this little resistor here. It's extremely small. It's ever so slightly shifted, so we'll have to make sure we nudge it back to where it's supposed to be. Next, we'll put a little solder paste on our center ground pad. All right, so we're installing our replacement chip, trying to line it up best we can. Okay, I think it's lined up pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and start with our hot air. And right now, all we're trying to do is solder that bottom ground pad to the board so the chip is locked into place before we start soldering some of those pins. Now the only issue here is I don't have my visual indicator because I didn't put any extra solder anywhere, but I'm thinking this is about good. So I'm gonna let the chip rest for a minute or two, then I'm gonna give it a nudge. If it moves, that means I did not reach the solder's melting point and we did not properly solder that ground pad. If it does not move, that means it is properly soldered. In the meantime, I'm going to use my magnifier to make sure all the pins are lined up perfectly. And they're not perfect, but it's gonna be close enough. I don't think we need to get it better. Moment of truth, give it a nudge. And it's not moving. All right, it's on there. That means we properly soldered the chip. I'm gonna go ahead and add some flux to all of our sides. And then we'll start soldering down those pins. And you know what? We're gonna switch to our microscope. All right, the reason I wanted to switch to the microscope is so we can get a little bit more clear view of what's going on here and zoom in a little bit more. Now over to the right here is that little resistor I was telling you about. So we just fixed that right now. Is there enough solder on all of these pins? I'm not convinced, so let's add a little more. And we're just gonna drag that solder across all of the pads. I'm leaving a few bridges behind, but that's okay. We'll fix that in a second. Really want to make sure all of these pins are making good contact. All right, I'm gonna add just a smidge more flux. I know we already have a lot, but I think all the flux we have on there is currently spent. All right, and then I'm gonna try and grab that extra solder here if we can. Maybe I can add it to the top right corner here. No, that's not quite working, so we'll have to use our desolder wick. All right, that looks good to me. Let's take a look at that left side. Does that look good? I am having a hard time telling whether or not there is enough solder. I'm gonna use my little tool here and I'm just raking these pins, meaning I'm putting pressure. If they move, that means they're not soldered down, but none of them are moving, so it looks like they're actually soldered in correctly. They are soldered in correctly, not incorrectly, 2 words. Yeah, we're looking good. What about our top side here? Okay. I just wanted to go softly on a few pins first before I went too hard and really bent some pins, because I thought a couple looked suspicious, but we're actually looking pretty good here too. Ah, all right, we just have 2 bent pins now. That's the only downfall of raking. All right, just corrected it, but it does confirm we have to do a little more soldering on this side. Probably need a little more solder than that. And that's probably a little too much, but. All right, let's see what that gives us. All right, so far so good. Let's give it one more try. All right. Ah, one more bad one. Now the trick is to put just enough solder. Ugh, is that too much? Aha, perfect. I think that's good. Okay, final pass. Okay, that looked good to me. We can go ahead and give it a clean. Let's go ahead and install the board back into our receiver and see what we get. Okay, our HDMI board is back into our receiver, and we currently are on the HDMI. We are seeing our left and right speaker. It's working. I'm gonna go ahead and freeze it to prove to you that it's not hot right now.
From miles away.
It is showing negative 28 degrees, negative 30, and we can still hear the audio. We still have our left and right speakers showing up. As promised, our disassembly video over here. If you are interested in sending in your board for us to fix, we do offer flat rate services which come with a 1-year warranty. Those are available on our website. That'll be linked in the description down below. Otherwise, if you found the video helpful or useful, leave us a like, subscribe for more content, and thank you for watching.